What is up, all forms of social media? James Joseph Edward Jessberger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short. Today we're tuning in for another one of my tattoo talks. Today we're going to talk about one that is dear and near to me. It is actually the one closest to my heart, ironically, as I wanted it to be. And I went to my university, and weird stories about this one, but I do have my college mascot, the Arcadia Knight, on my chest. Let's get into this story. So growing up, I was always a performance kid. I was always an acting kid. I was a thespian. I was a musician. I did act before I started playing music, but I've always been singing. I've always been acting, dancing, etc. Not to get into my mascotting stories too much, but I have to for this one. But there will be a video separately about all my crazy mascot stories and some of the highlights and stuff like that. But I don't want to give out way too much for the certain topic, because this is more about this than it is about mascotting in general. I do have to give a few backstory things for mascotting. So some of the mascotting things you will know for the next video. So just stay tuned. You'll like it. I promise. So growing up, as I said, I was an actor. And as actors, we get to play pretend, we get to enhance ourselves, we get to bring ourselves into the character, we get to act, we get to do anything we really want on stage, and we get to become another person or become more of ourselves, really, is what it actually is. Acting technique, acting, studying acting, such like that. And growing up, my grade school did not have a mascot. Well, we did have a mascot, but we did not have a costume for a mascot. So I went to a school where the mascot was a dragon, and obviously we didn't have a kid running around in a dragon costume or a dragon mascot suit. Then in high school, we had two mascots at my high school, where one of them was female, identifying as a female mascot, and one was an identifying male mascot. And you're probably like, well, Jimmy, couldn't you have played the male identifying mascot? These mascots were not, the mascots that we love and know as the giant heads and the furry costumes and stuff like that. These mascots were more portraying like actual humanoids, actual people, and it was more of them not wearing face masks and stuff like that. And then on top of that, it was also only people who were on student council. So for high school, I was never on student council, so I never got to do that specifically. But growing up, I really wanted to explore that side of mascotting, and even though I didn't know the world too much and I didn't really know what mascotting was or how it worked, I knew I wanted to try something like that. That and puppeteering, which I actually got to do. Super exciting and super happy for me. When I finally got to college, it was when I came in at a time where the year before they started having a real mascot perform, and like a true mascot with a real suit. They made the real suit. They made the suit that I was in my sophomore year of college, or I guess a little bit beforehand. My freshman year of college, I went to Arcadia, and the new mascot, quote unquote, for Arcadia, when the name of the college was changed and the logo was changed, was to an Arcadia Knight. And that's also the logo that I have on my chest. So I have a ton of people who do not even know the full story, and I had actually a few students who, behind my back, or I thought were friends or colleagues, would make fun of me for this tattoo, because they just literally thought it was because I had a lot of school spirit, or I just loved the school that much. That is kind of true, but there is a bigger reason why I got this tattoo and why I love it so much and why I love mascotting so much. At the end of my freshman year, they were deciding on making a logo, an actual logo, and a new, cooler logo for Arcadia and for the Arcadian Knight, essentially. On top of that, as I didn't know beforehand, and now that I know, they were actually prepping to make an Arcadian Knight mascot. They were prepping to make like an actual suit and have people run around and get paid for it, essentially. And that wasn't the main reason why I wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it because I wanted to, become a mascot. I wanted to have fun. I wanted to be able to run around and, do all the things that people think mascotting is, but there's way more behind that actually happens. In my freshman year, at the end of my freshman year, they sent out a survey for a new mascot logo. And when I got that email, immediately I looked at the email and I was like, wait, I've never seen anybody actually wear a Knight mascot suit and like run around and go to games or anything like that. I mean, technically I never went to games at Arcadia until mascotting, but like on top of that, like I never saw like somebody running around in a suit essentially. There was a gentleman at Arcadia who was sending out this email. He was the head of graphic design at the time. I don't know if he's still there. The last time I checked, he was still there. Awesome dude, by the way. He was the one that was making this logo, and there was 4 designs. I clicked in my design, and immediately after I was done, I said, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to say actual names for now, unless this person wants to be talked about eventually. But I said, hey, I wanted to just know, with the logo, I really love this logo that I got to pick, which is actually the logo. I picked the same logo that was picked for the school, and I think a lot of people liked it anyway, so it was just picked for the logo. And I said, I know this is completely random, and I don't know if you're involved with it just besides the logo. I said, and I would love to pull up this email and read it. I said, I would love to be the mascot. Are you guys looking for mascots too? And the guy answered back and was like, hey, Jimmy, we're actually in the process of auditioning and looking for mascots. So if you would, it's weird that you bring that up. You're actually the first person to email about it, like to actually ask about it. No one's asked us besides you. So that was the point where I went, wow, I am the first person to ask about it, but I technically am the first mascot if I get it, type of thing. We'll get there, don't worry. Me and I believe at the time 3 other people were called in to like audition. And the main part of our audition was we went into the separate part of the university where they were having the auditions. And they basically asked us, you know, what's your name? How are you? We were all by ourselves. It was I believe it was 2 judges, and it was us in the room. And it wasn't like all of us put together in the audition like sometimes they do for theater. It was just one person at a time, which was amazing to do that. They had us come in, they had to say our names, they had to say where we're from, if we're commuters, if we're residents, fun facts about us, and do you have acting performance training, or are you experienced? When I first went in as one of the first people to go in, I said, hey, I'm Jimmy. Hey, I'm a commuter, but I basically live on campus because I do everything here now. And I'm actually at Arcadia for my BFA acting major. So I already have had acting training since I was in kindergarten, and I love this. So I would love to be able to act and be one of the first mascots. They give us a scenario to act out. I did that, and lo and behold, I became one of the Arcadia Knights. So here's the interesting part of the story. I was actually the first person to put on the suit, and I was actually the first person to perform at a smaller event for Arcadia. So that's why I've loved it so much. That's why I was the first person to email. I was the first person to put on the suit, and I was like, this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. And once you mascot and once you put it on and you become that character, you put on that persona, or you become more of yourself while not being yourself at the same time, you actually find a love in it. Trust me, through my mascoting experience, I found people who do it once, who they need to just have a body in the suit, and the person fucking hates it. They hate moving around. They think I'm crazy, or they think I'm amazing because I run around, I'm crazy. It's just because I've had experience, and I just love doing the job. That was my sophomore year. I did it a lot. My sophomore year, junior year, I had to cut back just a little bit, but senior year, I did it a lot. So it was my sophomore, senior year, I did a lot. Junior year, I was still a mascot, but I did it a little bit less here and there. And at the time when I first put on the suit, so here's where the position comes in for the knight. Once I was mascotting for at least 2 years at Arcadia to 3 years at Arcadia, I knew I wanted to get it tattooed. I already had this tattoo, as you heard from my first story. I already had the 2 behind my ears, the treble and the bass clef. My 3rd tattoo, technically, was the Arcadian Knight. I knew I wanted it on my chest because the first time I tried to put on the suit, I fit into it, but my chest was too big. And that's also, you know, I could say that it was my stomach too, but the suit, you had to get the actual chest piece over your head and onto the chest part. And there were times that I couldn't get the chest down onto my body. I had to have somebody like basically pull me like a sausage into the package almost. I love this job so much. My sophomore year, I think I lost like 10 to 20 pounds, and I fit in the suit anytime I needed to. And I loved it. And I knew that I wanted it not on my left pec. I have something that I know I want to put there, that I've had actually before the Arcadia night that I wanted to put on my left pec, but I also put it there because it's on my chest because of the whole trying to get it on and, making my chest and fitting it into my mold. But I also wanted it here because it's one of the closest things to my heart. And, I could go on and on about, acting this, performance this, music this. Mascotting is one of those things that I kind of fell into. It's a subgenre, we call it, in the acting realm or in the performance realm or the theater realm or the sports realm, but I never knew it was going to be something that really took over my life. That's something that I wanted to do. I could mascot every day and not get tired of it. So yeah, that's really my story. The only other thing I really have to say about the tattoo is that, so actually two things. One, I got it during my senior year of college. So my last semester I got it, and I did it that way because me being the Arcadia Knight at the time, and even a little bit now, some people still don't know because they didn't ask me or it never got brought up in person. But I did make a post about it back on Facebook a while ago when I was graduating from Arcadia. I got it in the second semester of my senior year of college, and that was kind of like my revealing that I loved it so much and all that types of stuff. There was definitely a ton of backlash where people were like, "Why did you get that? Do you just have a lot of school spirit?" And I'm like, yes and no. The other funny part is I almost transferred out of Arcadia, so I never would have had all these experiences, and I'm so glad I stayed there. The second reason why it's so important to me is because I actually had an Arcadia graduate tattoo it on my chest. So not only is it an Arcadia branded thing, and it's an Arcadia like logo and where I went to school, but it's also somebody who went to that school and somewhat had a connection to that school got to put that onto my chest also. The last cool thing that I'll say about this is my senior year. So what eventually happened is at Arcadia, the person who was ahead of graphic design at the time, kind of like not relinquished, but like moved the mascotting more to the sports side. So I had three bosses essentially. I had the head of graphic design, I had the head of athletics, and then I had the head and coach of athletics and a few other things, like sports teams. And I loved her. She got me more into mascotting. She like threw jobs at, I mean, not actual jobs, but she showed me jobs that were looking for mascots, and she would refer me and stuff like that. And I was super excited about that. The funny part is, so I went like, I think it was a year after the graphic design was done and the mascotting, we finally were mascotting for a year. My senior year, I got the tattoo, and I think a month or two into my second semester, somebody somebody in my class was like, because I think I was wearing a tank top or something, and mind you, by the way, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4 tattoos on me, and this guy, and I had short hair, I think, at the time. The one of the guys I actually became really close to in class was like, "Hey, are you the guy with the Arcadia tattoo?" Like randomly. And I think I was wearing a tank top, so he kind of like saw that. You can see the red outline a lot when I wear tank tops or stuff like that. Now you can just see all of them. And I said, "Oh yeah, I am." And he's like, "Oh, you're the guy that got the tattoo." He's like, "My professor loves you." And I'm like, "Who's your professor?" And he's like, "Oh, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Wait, you mean your professor is also the head of graphic design at Arcadia and he blah 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 with the logo and he loves it?" Like I said to him, I'm like, he should already know me because he interviewed me and had me audition for the mascot and I got it. He said, yeah, he didn't know that originally because it was a couple years afterwards. And then the other amazing part was, are you ready for this? This is the most amazing part, and I kind of love this because now I have a connection with somebody who kind of just on a whim made something at Arcadia that impacted me and a ton of other people at Arcadia. The head of graphic design at Arcadia actually made this design. So I took the exact design that somebody made on a whim for the school for a new logo that became the new logo out of 3 different designs, and this being the 4th. And his design is now imprinted on somebody for life. Isn't that interesting? I know it's a little like, Jimmy, you're crazy for getting that tattooed on you, but that's what I love. That's what I enjoy. Your art should be your art. You put on your body what you want on your body. And that's what I love. I love mascotting. I loved Arcadia. There were some bad and good times, but overall, this is something that has pushed me to be more of what I want to be and pushed me to be a better mascot and a better performer. So as always, my name is James Joseph Edward Jessberger Jr., but please call me Jimmy for short. And I'll always see you guys in the next one. Peace.